All right, everyone. So there was a lot of reports about Vince McMahon and who was attending his birthday party and all of this stuff. And I don't really give a damn about necessarily who's attending the birthday party from the standpoint of I want to know all the deets. I'm interested to see, at this point, what is going on in Vince McMahon's life, right? Who is he still talking to? Who's he still friends with? All of these things. So a headline here from eWrestling News: backstage news on Vince McMahon's 80th birthday party. Vince looked frail. As we've previously reported here on EWN, former WWE champion, chairman Vince McMahon, I guess he was never champion, but maybe, right? Recently marked his 80th birthday with a private celebration in New York City, attended by a mix of WWE legends, executives, and current talent. Notable names spotted included John Cena, The Undertaker, Kane, Michelle McCool, Sheamus, Ron Killings, Bruce Pritchard, Shane McMahon, Sergeant Slaughter, Gerald Briscoe, and JBL. So once I'm going to stop right here for 1 second. We will read more, but this to me has a lot of interest. Okay, so obviously you have former stars, right? But you also have these names of Sheamus and Ron Killings and John Cena, and obviously Bruce Pritchard's still a big part of the company. And I just think there's a level of like that to me is an interesting part of the whole story, that there are people that are there, right, that are currently working in WWE, and take out all the allegations and all of that. We're not talking about that in this video. But a lot of people talked about, maybe how he did it creative and did the wrestlers like him and this and that. And I think the answer to that is probably yes. I think a lot of these guys, and there is change coming to WWE and how it operates and all of this stuff. And I think that's quite interesting, right? That kind of dynamic that I don't think gets a lot of play, because people are like, yeah, I'm happy Vince is gone, right? And whether that should be the case or not is not up for debate here. But what I'm saying is we should acknowledge that there is that change taking place, right? I think that's the important part, is that this is not the same company from a creative standpoint, from how they handle old talent that comes back, how they handle people like in terms of, uh, when you're renewing contracts, all of those things. There were so many longtime WWE employees that left when TKO, when all of that went down. So I think those are really, really interesting questions and kind of topics to dive into. Let's keep it going. Fightful Select provided new details after speaking with several individuals who either attended, were invited, or heard about the event. None spoke on record, but they shared insights on the atmosphere and perception of the party. Several WWE talents noted that it wasn't surprising how many wrestlers showed up, with one veteran pointing out that many still feel indebted to McMahon, the source explained. A lot of people here still feel they owe Vince something, even though he made his money back on them tenfold. Another wrestler who chose not to attend said that some are waiting for the Janelle Grant trafficking case to fully play out in court before deciding whether to cut ties, saying that's the fairness they'd expect if the roles were reversed. So this is a really, I think, interesting insight. There's two things here. Number one, there's the people that view that they owe Vince something, and two, there's people that are like, we're going to let this lawsuit and everything play out before we decide we're done. Right? We're done. The gathering was meant to be highly discreet and news only service once photos leaked online. Guests were encouraged to use a professional photographer on hand if they wanted personal keepsakes. WWE Hall of Famer Jerry Lawler shared on Instagram story featuring himself with The Miz, Maurice, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Titus O'Neil, but quickly deleted it after being asked by several people. According to one source, Lawler remains ride or die for McMahon. So again, I mean, these are current stars, right? The Miz, Drew McIntyre. I mean, obviously these are Sheamus. These are in some ways veterans, right? Certainly veterans, but still people that are still in the company. It was noted that additional current W superstars were in attendance, though names were withheld. At the same time, others admitted to being invited but declined due to either personal reasons or travel obligations tied to WWE's road to Clash in Paris tour. John Cena has stayed close to McMahon even after the sexual misconduct allegations became public in 2022, while Bruce Pritchard and JBL have also maintained ties. For many, the birthday marked the first time they had seen McMahon in over 2 years, dating back to the Raw after WrestleMania 39 in April 2023. One attendee noted that McMahon looked 80, describing him as frailer and slower than they remembered. Notable absences included Bryan Danielson, who was in the UK with AEW for Forbidden Door, as well as Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and WWE President Nick Khan. Sources stressed that the event had no official WWE involvement. Talents who asked higher ups whether they should attend were told the decision was their business. There is no discussion of McMahon returning to WWE in any capacity, whether on the business or creative side. Leadership reportedly has no interest in bringing him back into the fold. So this I thought was a very, very interesting just to see who was there, the kind of background of what people are thinking and all of that kind of stuff. Really think that was a pretty interesting thing. But this doesn't shock me either. A lot of people they might think, well, does Vince did after all this kind of after the lawsuits figured out and all of that, does it become a situation where he ends up back in the company? I think there's a chance that Vince will be on WWE TV again in some fashion. Like, I don't even know what it would be, but some kind of big event. Like, I think if the lawsuit was all settled with the Hogan when Hogan passed away, he probably would have been there had it not been for the fact that this lawsuit is still ongoing, right? So for that, I think we may see that again. But I just think people miss that this isn't the same company that it was just a few years ago. You know, Nick Khan and all of these guys are running a different show. It's just very simple, and it's not an instance where they feel like, yeah, we have to bring Vince back, right? And Vince can force his way back in. There was a ability for him to do that when he had some form of legal mechanism to do it, right? Through what was it like that takeover, right? Kind of that takeover. So there was a mechanism for him to do it there. There's no mechanism anymore. There's really not an ability for him to force his way back in. So is there a chance he's on WWE TV again? Sure, right? We have to see how everything plays out. And I know very little about this lawsuit as it pertains to where it's at right now and what's happening next. So that's all to be seen in the future. But I would be stunned if they ever, you know, if they ever had it where Vince McMahon was back in the fold in any way, shape, or form. I just don't see it happening. So thank you all for watching and put in the comments section below what you think, and we'll see you next time.